Hey, it's Kaylee. You know me as the Parts Girl, and I work here at PartsEdge. Thanks for following this awesome journey as we highlight thought leaders and trailblazers, share best practices in fixed ops, and cover success stories of how dealers sell more parts and service. This is the PartsEdge podcast with Kaylee Filio. Hey, Mitch, thanks for joining me. It's hard not to introduce that as a podcast, but okay. So, Mitch, first tell me who you are, who you're with, what your role is, all that good stuff.
Yeah. My name's Mitch Brady. I'm the Toyota parts manager for Ressler Toyota in Bozeman, Montana. I've been here for about 10, coming up on 11 years now. Yeah, I've been looking forward to talking about how PartsEdge has improved my life.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Okay, so you've been there for 10 years. Do you have any other history or backstory, or just you started at this dealership and took off from there?
I started off as an automotive technician when I was 15 years old, 14 years old as kind of a part-time thing to learn, and progressed into that until my early 20s, and then left the automotive world for about 1 year and came rushing back and ended up in parts and have been in parts ever since.
Wow. Okay, so I have to understand this might not be part of the testimonial, but how did you discover like what did you want to go to like when you left for a year? I mean, you can share what you did, but like were you like I'm going to go back to parts or what was the thought process?
It's funny, I actually went back into sales. I thought I could start selling cars and then immediately found out after those psychology tests on our personality trait test, that I was more for the fixed ops side of things, and they put me into parts because there was an open position. I was not excited about it like I was with sales, but about 2 weeks in, I fell in love with the job, 100%.
I bet. And I think maybe you probably realized too it is a lot like being in sales in a way, kind of, right? I mean,
It's like a combination of sales and then all the technical knowledge that I had combined, so it was like a perfect fit.
perfect fit, yeah. Especially
Yep.
having that background as a tech, like, you just have that general understanding of parts, or if you order this part, you're going to also need XYZ part because you have that knowledge, and that's very valuable. So,
Yep, yep.
okay, so let's get into parts edge. So you've been a parts manager 10 years. What is the biggest problem, or what was the problem you were having before you discovered parts edge?
So when we initially signed up for this, we didn't really feel like we had any problems. The main goal of PartsEdge was to sharpen the knife of our inventory. As we dug into with more PartsEdge, we started finding issues that we didn't know that we had, particularly being the phase in and phase out criteria being applied to every single part instead of unique parts and where they fit in our inventory. And that has allowed us to reduce some of the excess stock created by the old phase in, phase out criteria. Each source has essentially their own phase in, phase out
Which gives you more
criteria.
clarity.
Yeah.
So this isn't a question too. So as you took over the role, did you have any, looking back 10 years ago, did they give you any training? Was there any structure, or was it just set up the way it was set up and then you could just kind of have made little changes, I'm sure, throughout the years?
So I haven't been a parts manager for 10 years, just, about a
Oh,
year and a half, 2 years, but,
okay.
I've
I
been in
got it
parts
mixed up,
for that
sorry.
long,
Yeah.
and I really when I was a counterman, I really dove into how the inventory operates and how to keep it as efficient as we could, but there are limitations to what I could do as a counterman other than making everything as efficient as I could. With PartsEdge, it's allowed us to expand the inventory without, investing more money and cut down on obsolescence and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I think is that part of, the f I guess the fear of making changes in your DMS of, if you make a change, you don't want the or you don't want the, inventory value to grow. Is there any thing that you experienced before as far as like, making those changes in the DMS, and how can you actually see how well those changes are doing?
We toyed with a couple different phase in and phase out criterias, but again, they applied to everything. So we ended up getting a lot more larger parts that cluttered up, active space in the dealership. With PartsEdge, you can have a more aggressive phase out and a steeper phase in for larger parts, more expensive parts, stuff that doesn't fit necessarily well, but still making sure you have your fast moving parts on hand. I would say that we did experiment with other phase ins, but it wasn't as successful as modifying it to each individual type of part in each source.
Did PartsEdge give you that ability to look at the data so that you can really see where to break it out, or we suggested what you should do, and then I think you've customized it since then?
I had a pretty good idea of how I wanted the phase in criterias on each source and what stipulations I wanted for each source. Being native to Toyota, anything under $8 range is non-returnable as soon as you purchase it. So I have them at a 3 and 9 phase in rather than the 2 and 9 phase in I have for other more fast moving parts that I can send back without a penalty essentially.
That's a good strategy. Is there anything else that you've, once we've set it up for you, further customized? Because it sounds like we kind of gave you like a framework, right? And then you were able to take that and kind of do even more with it.
Yeah, with the ability to make sources that have certain criterias around them has been awesome. We have done a lot of custom sources for specifically discontinued parts, damaged returned parts, like damaged boxes or misboxed parts or relabeled parts, etc. Mac release parts, which are a part that you would have to email in to get released, and then CPOR parts ordered through a different portal other than our DMS. All those sources have unique characteristics about them, and we have creatively come up with a solution to notify countermen of different parts and their situations by attaching $0 fees to certain sources. So if somebody puts in a Mac release part, it will come up with a fee saying that it's Mac release. Historically, we've used SDL, which is a dealer list of, or a custom list attached to a part number that would notify that you would have to click through. This is a lot more streamlined with just having a note essentially pop up with the attached to a certain source in this
And
criteria.
that's automatic based on the
Correct.
source that the part is put in. So you don't have to
Correct.
remember, oh yeah, I set this up, or yeah. What has been different about, well, I guess that's not the question, I guess. But I'll ask it. I'll just ask it. What Let me go through this real quick. We can edit some of this. What did the well, yeah, because you didn't really have a problem, which I love that you didn't have a problem. in
Yeah,
the
no, our inventory was very strong from the beginning. Me and the parts director worked really hard at keeping it, active parts in your inventory, non-active parts being returned or any forced stock generally hasn't been an issue. This has just reduced those numbers even more. And our active inventory has come up without an increase in investment.
perfect mix. That's the thing. Your active part number population has increased, but hasn't your value actually decreased a little bit too?
I think we are steady at what it was before, but the last time I checked, I do believe we were down a little bit on total inventory dollar spent.
I guess what was your thought process on like, you know, using a service without really having a problem?
I think what it does from both of our standpoints is obviously it's going to reduce a stress on the PDCs as dealers having more inventory, having more active and a lower phase in allows us to have more parts on hand quicker. And then the aggressive phase out for parts that aren't selling, whether it was a one-off, those get returned quicker as well. So inventory flows a little bit faster, a little bit more maintenance on the inventory, but I have been experiencing more and more jobs that have parts all in stock, can do same day repairs, and without a huge effort being made.
Yeah, less carryovers. Also, do you feel like you're returning less parts too? Or is it too soon to see that?
We had a little bit of obsolescence that we've been working on, so each of my returns, the normal return, if I take out what I'm sending back as obsolescence, I would say have gone down, but our returns have stayed steady for the most part on the amount of parts going back, which I expect to stay steady. Honestly, we should be having the same amount of parts going back that have phased out sooner than purchasing them. It should be equal, the purchasing, of parts and the return of parts, I think, just allows us to have more coverage of or more breadth in the inventory for same-day repairs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and I would think that it would be way more efficient for Toyota as well to not get as much parts returned to them, which is like making everyone more efficient. Um, you kind of already answered this, but take us back to the moment you realized the service was actually working for you.
My monthly reports, all the numbers have been moving in all the perfect ways for me. Again, active part numbers have gone up. Cost has remained the same for the total dollar amount of the inventory. Excess stock and has gone down, which has been great. And my obsolescence is down roughly 3 or 4%. So we're heading towards, minimal obsolescence and a wide range of parts on hand for customers that are needed.
How long has it been? It's been over 90 days?
It's been 60 days. The setup took a little longer because we were having CDK issues, but yeah, we're about 65 days in or so.
Live. Okay. Oh, let's talk about monthly reports. So, how has our process helped you or changed the way you are looking at reports? Because I know your DMS can produce reports for you to look at, which I think we have some automated reports that are just automatically. So, like, I guess I'm trying to point out or identify as like, does the automated reports help you to see those? And then did we added more reports for you to look at?
Yeah, I feel like your guys' reports actually is better data than the DMS's. It allows for an actual 1313 obsolescence report rather than the standard 12-month. And I feel like it's more honed into exactly what is issues and what's growing versus the, I would say, like non-parse edge way, but the numbers in both reports are going in correct directions for me currently.
Okay. So, like, the way that we're reporting obsolescence is a little bit clearer from what you're saying, um, and then as far as your DMS reports before, what were you using to forecast your obsolescence, or was that even easy for you to do? And I guess
It wasn't easy to do. I mean, CDK generates months no sold greater than 12 and a month's no receipt greater than 12, but they're segregated. I would have to make custom reports to try and see, what fit, my definition of an obsolete part rather than CDK's definition of an obsolete part. And I feel your reports more align with how I feel about obsolescence than what the DMS does. The DMS is meant to fit, all dealerships where you guys are a little bit more honed in on exactly the business that you're working with.
I like that, yeah, I would agree. But and then we're showing you the forced stock too, and then, technical obsolescence that helps you forecast and track things that are going into obsolescence. So, is there anything that you wanna add or just kind of, is there anything you feel like I didn't ask you?
No, I've been extremely happy with the signing up for Parts Edge. Probably one of my favorite things has been how easy it has been to work with your company. The customer experience has been one of the best I've ever had. It's very quick with response times. Everybody's super knowledgeable. Any issue I've had has been resolved in under an hour. I was told 24 hours when we signed up, and it's been an hour, which is just light years above what was promised, but it's been fantastic. And now that we've gotten all of the ducks in a row, per se, I don't think I've contacted you in 3 or 4 weeks about any issues. Everything's been running well, and yeah, everybody's been fantastic.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, I think the initial onboarding, right, there's a lot of communication back and forth, making sure that we're setting it up. And then once it's kind of set up, it's just a matter of, I think meeting once a month, making those adjustments, or as you see, I think the biggest part, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, is like it's almost having that assistant, the parts expert in your, that you can just kind of like you have thoughts and ideas and you can just send them off to us. I wish I
It
had that.
does. PartsEdge makes it a lot more fun to be creative with the inventory and really dive into certain projects that you want to accomplish.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal for parts managers because you guys are managing a lot of, part numbers, a lot of inventory, having that time to be able to be creative and focus on how you could be more efficient, I think is kind of invaluable because yeah. I mean, it's showing in the numbers.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's just showing the numbers are just showing that the creativity is working, which will give us an edge over other people. So
It takes a great parts manager too. I think that's one thing to point out is our service works well when it's a collaboration of, everything. So that's good. Thank
you guys
you.
have a very, very large amount of talent on your guys' side. Um, and everything that I've heard and spoken about has all made sense and just sparked more creativity. So
That's great to hear. Thank you.
yeah, of course.